Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. So it actually has been over a year since we first saw this particular gameplay reveal trailer. We had the creative director, Patrick Redding, do a narrative as to exactly what was going on in this particular picture. Now, hopefully in the next few hours, and when I say few hours, I mean 20 to 40 of those hours, we're more than likely going to have something that is going to complement what we saw. This is very exciting to fans nonetheless. Now, here's the thing. I know that many people are excited about Gotham Knights. I'm excited about Gotham Knights. Hopefully, if the game doesn't get delayed and everything works, and God willing, I want to play Gotham Knights just as much as, if not more, than any other DC Games fan. But here are some of the possibilities, and here are some things that I want to make sure that we highlight. The problems that we may face is, number one, Gotham Knights may get too harshly judged under the shadow of Batman Arkham Knight. And this is what I fear, because even I myself, as a content creator, I've done this in many videos where I've actually made some comparisons. And in the past few, days, and I've said this before, I've been looking very closely and saying to myself, what would be the value of actually evaluating both games, side by side, and underneath one of them's shadow, basically the one that came before the other. And I thought to myself, I said, well, I guess we could do it for comparative analysis just to kind of see what it is that one game does better than the other. And hopefully Gotham Knights can do things better than Arkham Knights. Even though many people may say, oh, well, that seems like a stretch because Rocksteady seems to be the studio that has been shining for the past few years in terms of their own productions with Arkham Asylum, Arkham Knight, and then even Arkham City. But nonetheless, you have to note that they also have a page of theirs that has been actually ripped out and given to Warner Brothers Games Montreal in the past. You see, in the production of Arkham Origins, Warner Brothers Games Montreal studio head at that time said, when we were trying to make Arkham Origins, we reached out to Rocksteady and they basically gave us a whole bunch of files and assets that they had used. And our job was to take them and just reverse engineer a lot of systems and be able to put together our own game and our own story. So what Warner Brothers Games Montreal had with Arkham Origins at the time was a very strong plot. They had somebody who was a really huge DC Batman storyline expert on their team at that time. And all they just did was take a lot of the different things that Rocksteady had implemented in terms of systems and just package their story and their game. So I believe that there's still that possibility, because a lot of the people who, were calling the shots at that time, or a lot of people who worked at the studio at that time, are probably still there. And we may still see some of that authenticity, or if not more authenticity, based on new people who've been added to the team as time went on. And so in that comparative state, in that mindset, with those lenses, I hope that even as all of us gamers, even myself as a content creator here, we can actually try our best to take off the Arkham Knight lens for a little bit while we look at Gotham Knights. And, of all people that's saying this, it's me. And I say that because I really want to give Gotham Knights as much of a chance as I possibly can, because like I said, the criticisms basically were able to make their way because now, number one, not only did we get the initial gameplay review, we got nothing else and we were left in the dark. But now that we know, okay, more than likely it's appearing that we're going to be getting something more concrete, and even better still, a possibility that we'll be getting a release date. I think we now have to say, okay, what is Gotham Knights here to bring? Now, this is not to say that Gotham Knights should be free of any kind of comparison or any kind of criticism, but at least I think we should go in there with an open mind. Also, we're going to be hopefully seeing Suicide Squad also show up as well in this DC Fandome event, and more than likely we can probably judge Suicide Squad because now the developers have actually said it's going to be in the Arkham universe, and the developers are the same developers who worked on 3 of the 4 Arkham games. So Rocksteady is going to also be under the radar in a sense, as many people have gone ahead and given them the benefit of the doubt and said that they're a wonderful developer. They still have to, basically come through. So when it boils down to the base level of how everything is more than likely going to run, there are only a few things that we can basically conclude. One of them is that we need to wait and see. The other is that when we see, we're able to kind of judge what we see based on what the developers are explaining and what their vision is, as long as they explain their vision very well. I am willing for Gotham Knights to take whichever direction it wants to take. The terrible part, though, is if the direction it takes is a direction that players have been really, really fearful of in terms of the new trends in gaming. And some of you know what that is. In fact, some of you were speaking here in the comment section and you said, for the longest time, you had the fear that Gotham Knights was going to be like Marvel Avengers. I don't think that's the case. I think we're going to have a very strong story. And just the fact that the multiplayer is limited to 2 people, I think perhaps what they're trying to iterate is somewhat of a experience that is similar to Far Cry, where you can play the game and experience it with only 1 person, or you can experience the game by yourself. Now, I said Far Cry, that may have freaked some people out. Relax. The way the Far Cry games are being structured now, especially with Far Cry 6, there's a heavy emphasis on the story. There's a heavy emphasis on your character progression and so many things that if Far Cry was a third-person game right now, you wouldn't believe about the way they've improved that game in terms of those particular aspects. Yes, mechanics and all those systems are very similar, but I think Ubisoft seems to be making the Far Cry experience a much more richer experience. So if that's the case, or if that's kind of the pattern that they're going with, because actually, if you look at many video games, there aren't really too many different patterns that they follow. But if Gotham Knights follows at least a measure of that pattern, then I'm thinking that we're going to have a deep and a rich story. Sure, we're going to have the co-op experience, but again, it's not going to take away from the quality that these games can bring when you play them and experience them yourself. And even better, if you experience them yourself and the game actually is to your liking, imagine how much better it'll be if you were to experience that with somebody else. I'll leave you guys here with these thoughts, and I would love to hear what you think in the comment section. Are you excited for the DC Fandome event? What are you doing in preparation? I'm sure some people have probably cleared their schedule for Saturday, and that's going to be very interesting to see exactly what these studios have to offer. All right, talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching the video. I appreciate you all so much. Peace out.